Hey folks, we're going to learn something a little bit new about the oil and gas industry. Oil and Gas Podcast, how we became #1. So I've had a lot of people reach out to me and go, Mark, how did y'all become #1? How did y'all have the top oil and gas podcast? Actually, the top several oil and gas podcasts. The process is simple, but you have to think about things a little bit different. Let me tell you how we did it and see if it works for you. So first thing is you have to have a mission. You have to have a why. Why are you doing the podcast, right? Are you doing the podcast because you want to become #1? Do you want to make money? Are you trying to get name recognition? You know, regardless of what it is, you have to have a why. And the reason the why is so important is that is your motivation to continue to do it. This is work. It's not easy. So you have to have a mission. And then when you figure out your mission, you also have to figure out how your podcast is going to be structured. Is it going to be topical? Is it going to be interviews? Is it going to be news articles? You need that first before you do anything else. #2, and here's a big one I learned from James Hahn. You got to get out of the gate hard. So you don't launch with one podcast. That doesn't work. iTunes is the 800-pound gorilla. It's real important that you get listed in the new and noteworthy in iTunes. And the way you do that is you launch with at least 5 podcasts at one time. Totally complete it, right? So that's a lot of work up front before you even launch. You also need to make sure you're on every platform that's out there. So Stitcher, Google, YouTube, whatever. There's ways to automate that. There's a lot of tools out there, but you have to come out of the gate really hard. Then, don't just name your podcast. Learn SEO, learn a little about search engine optimization, and use that knowledge to help name your podcast. If anybody's followed us for any length of time, you notice when we started, it was This Week in Oil and Gas, and then we changed the name to Oil and Gas This Week. And you go, that's not hardly any difference. Oh yeah, it's a big difference. Google and Bing, the search engines, now rank us better because we have oil and gas in the beginning of the name, because we understand SEO. You need to do the same thing. Then here's a huge one. You have to produce high quality audio. You have to invest in good equipment. It doesn't have to be expensive, but it has to be good equipment. You have to learn how to edit, right? And if you can't do that, you might as well start the podcast. If you can't produce high quality audio, people won't listen, they'll drop off. Then, #5, you need to understand how to attract sponsors. If you follow us, you know that we have several sponsors and we have several more in the wings. And the reason we're able to attract those sponsors is we were able to show them how we can expose what they're doing, right, their products or service, to our specific oil and gas audiences. There's a bunch of ways for you to monetize your podcast, but you need to think about that ahead of time. How do you attract those sponsors? Then, whether you use social media or not, there's no way you can have a successful podcast unless you use social media. You have to learn social media. You have to be able to use Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all to help promote your podcast and also help people become aware of your podcast. The more people that are aware of your podcast, the more downloads you have, the more sponsorship money you can charge. All right. Then, you have to build an email list. Everybody that has an interest in your podcast before you launch, everybody that has an interest after you launch that want to get updates, you need to build an email list. Well, now we use MailChimp as our tool, but that list is super valuable because now you can communicate with your whole entire audience with one email. Then finally, if you have an interest in doing this, you know, an oil and gas podcast, reach out to us. Come join us. We have the whole oil and gas global network. We're looking for other podcasts to host on our network. You got to meet our criteria. We'll help you find a sponsor, but if you have a great idea and you're willing to put the work in, let us know. So I hope you found this valuable. If you did, can you do me a big favor? Somewhere on either side of here, there's some buttons so you can share on social media. Will you just share this so it helps us get in front of more people? And then if you don't mind, if you really found this valuable, send an email out, right? Let a couple people know what we're doing here because they may have an interest in it as well. So folks, I hope this helped. We will see you next time.